O'Brien, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much, Denver, for having me here this evening.
I think let's start at the starting line. What necessitated the 4% increase in electricity tariff for this year and next?
Yeah, I think obviously the biggest one is a NamPower increase coming through to us. I think, as you all know, NamPower asked for 3.8%. They got the 3.8% increase on their tariffs.
Just move,
And
just move a little bit
hello.
closer just move a little bit backwards from your camera.
Okay.
That's great. Continue, please.
Okay. And as you can see, in terms of our cost component regarding the distribution department of the City of Windhoek, 75% of our cost is actually coming from NamPower. So a big part of our cost drivers is NamPower. Obviously, looking at this current year's tariff and the proposed tariff increase, if the current year's tariffs are also not cost reflective, obviously it necessitates a bit of an increase. So as you are aware, NamPower got a 3.8. We are applying for 4%. And obviously we are 0.2% above the NamPower asking price. But that's really, but really pushing it is really that bulk energy cost, and obviously the cost reflectivity is really what is driving that need to get that 4%.
All right. Now, and that 4% obviously is broken down further. Can you maybe just elaborate on how that is broken down? We have residential, pensioners, commercial, industrial users. How does the city break that down?
Okay, that 4% is the actual average tariff um, increase on the overall average prices. But if you break it down now into the various customer categories, the increase, for example, at the residential level, which are basically the consumers, the myself and yourself, that increase actually comes about to 3%. For the social customers like the pensioners, it comes to about 1%. So in terms of the vulnerable sector, particularly the consumers, the proposed increase is actually well below the average increase of NamPower.
Okay. Now, so you've given the explanation, but then the obvious criticism here is that citizens will say that they are already going through a lot of hardship. A lot of customers are already swimming in debt with the city of Windhoek. Was that factored in, or is this simply we need to cover the cost?
It's a bit of both. Obviously, we do understand that the consumers are under quite a lot of stress with regards to the high cost of living. We recognize that. But however, I think one thing you must always understand is that we're sitting obviously with a bulk supplier of energy, and they import a lot of the energy from outside the country as well. So NamPower on that hand, which is a bulk producer, they also have to make sure they have funds to pay those suppliers. And once they pay those suppliers, obviously NamPower is also supplying us, as it means the City of Windhoek. And the City of Windhoek then distributes to the end consumer. The City of Windhoek obviously needs to collect those funds from the end consumer, pay NamPower, and NamPower to pay their suppliers. If you destroy or you mess up that value chain, you can literally destroy the entire industry, the power industry in Namibia, which can lead to worse consequences. So it is true that power is expensive. However, that is what consumers are paying is actually the actual cost of generation, transmission, and distribution to the end consumer. So we are actually just paying for the cost of having electricity. Now, as you know, Namibia is well known actually as one of the only, if not the only country within the SADC region, which doesn't experience load shedding. And it's also not a coincidence that we also have one of the highest tariffs, meaning that we are quite cost reflective at a regional level in terms of our tariffs. And because of that, the security of supply within Namibia is quite high. And we don't really experience a lot of power outages, load sheddings, and whatnot, because our industry is actually very, very cost reflective. And the minute you don't ensure cost reflectivity, then the distributors like the City of Windhoek are unable to finance their operations, their maintenance. NamPower also will also be unable to finance their part, and they also will not be able to pay their suppliers, and that can also lead to power disruptions. So I always believe that the cost that we currently pay for power within Windhoek, yes, it's high, but at least the cost of having no power is even higher. Maybe just to also mention the current, for example, at the residential level, the current prepaid tariff is about $2.42, and that is an inclusive price of the ECB levy, LSA charge, and the NEF levy. And that is actually one of the lowest prepaid tariff within our country, within Namibia. So City of Windhoek is still extremely affordable as compared to its peer utilities like Irongo Red, Sino Red, and NORED.
Okay.
So
So
from that perspective, from a Namibian perspective, we are one of the lowest tariffs in the country, and so we don't necessarily burden the tariff. We ensure that the tariff is cost reflective, and minimum and affordable, and also to make sure that it is sustainable for the industry.
okay. So our conversation is happening at a pretty timely time as far as the city of Windhoek is currently engaging citizens on on this matter. What has been the feedback, and will that feedback? Is there anything worth taking back to the ECB into your final presentation to them?
I think the biggest issue, obviously, it's the affordability of it, and that we completely understand that the cost of life in Namibia is quite high. Um, but unfortunately, that is a price that is required to ensure that the power supply in Namibia is reliable. I think obviously what it means also is that I think the distributors and the bulk supplier, I think there also needs to perhaps be conversations at that level to see and to see how can we also assist NamPower perhaps to reduce that cost of energy from a supplier point of view. But from our engagements with them, they are trying to do a lot of changes. They are trying to bring in a lot of more affordable generation options like solar and I believe wind as well. And all these solutions that are coming on board, I do believe that going forward, they might actually result in a reduction of energy overall.
I was just about to ask, looking forward, does the city expect tariff adjustments over the next 2, 3 years? Because it pretty much seems like that is the way that the ball rolls. Can we start expecting longer term plans, maybe aimed at stabilizing or even reducing electricity prices?
Yeah, I think from the city of Windhoek perspective, there's not really much we can do. Um, I think that stability that we need from an energy point of view will definitely have to be coming from the bulk supply and power. And I do believe they do have a robust plan in place to try to see whether they can get those energy prices down. I think obviously the big bulk of driving the cost has always been the imports, and some of these imports are US dollar based, and that obviously, as you've seen in the media, in the newspaper and other indices, that the dollar has sort of has come down slightly. So we don't know how it looks like going forward. But I think from what we've seen with NamPower, with some of the big solar plants they are bringing on board, I think the other day in the newspaper we read that they also have a big wind power coming on board. All of these things actually reduce the amount of imports coming in, and sort of in a way give NamPower some form of price control. So I am quite confident going forward that the prices will stabilize.
Okay. So then, when we talk about the public sentiment, and I just want to confront you with the factor of quality of service that has been stated by residents. Is there perhaps a chance to look at measures to improve internal efficiencies, reducing operational costs, limit future tariff increases? Is there anything being done away from just increasing tariffs?
Yeah, look, the city has done quite a lot in terms of just becoming more efficient. I think if you look at, for example, the distribution, particularly the electricity distribution sector within the city of Windhoek, if our total losses, and I'm talking about both technical and commercial losses, they hover around about 6%, which is extremely low. I think if you go anywhere in the world, even in South Africa, across the border, their losses, their losses hover over around about 12%, 15%, even as high as 25%. So we've really reduced and have become really efficient. And some of the measures you might have also picked up. I mean, if you drive around the city of Windhoek, you will see that in the evening our street lights, some of them are white lights, and those are really the new LED lights we are putting up, which are very energy efficient, and again reducing our losses on the system, and again really making it driving down the cost of electricity to the consumer. And I think the over the years, um, um, we've had I can't really give a lot of detail, but we've had a sort of a financial recovery plan where we have really tried to squeeze out all those types of wastages, whether it is electricity losses in terms of people bypassing our meters, whether it is better financial management, financial prudency. And really, a lot of these measures have really paid off. I think the city, in a while now, we are actually a going concern, and our financial position has actually improved quite significantly. Um, but we are still continuing. Um, yeah, it's a long journey. Obviously, a lot of the issues cannot be resolved overnight, but definitely a lot has been done to make the city as efficient as possible.
Well, O'Brien, thank you so much. Like you say, also a long conversation that I think we will not be able to exhaust tonight. But thank you so much for joining us and shedding a bit of light on our electricity situation.
Thank you. Thank you.